The show is essentially about the end of a dynasty and how the cracks and the craters in that dynasty led to the end of the Targaryen rule over Westeros. And those things always happen from within.
Yeah.
And there's always decadence and misunderstandings and mismanagement that lead to something blowing up from within itself. I think that this episode worked for me. And the overall family dynamic and drama works for me because we're essentially litigating who the good rulers are. It's obvious when you watch this one that Otto is missed.
Yes.
It's obvious that Otto is missed, right? We're talking about who the good rulers are. In the last show, you had a lot of incompetent rulers, right? But you also had a lot of good ones.
Mm-hmm.
You had a lot of people who were naturals. You had a lot of people who were able to inspire. You had a lot of people who you could look at the show and be like, I would follow that person. In this show, you have none. Like none. Like you have like zero. You have zero.
Who would you follow?
Like in this show, you have none. Like right now, Rhaenyra looks like she's kind of impotent as a ruler. She looks like she rules with a moral compass, but she's losing the support of her small council because she's in a fight, but doesn't seem like she wants to fight. There's a line from The Wire, and Slim Charles says it in The Wire. He goes, "When we're at war, if it's a lie, we fight on that lie."
So you do follow us on socials, but you don't post nothing.
What do you mean?
I made that last night.
Oh,
I did a whole.
I did a whole.
Show me if he sees the shit. He's gonna share it, bro.
Let me tell you something. Now, let me tell you something. I actually didn't see that. I don't know if you know. I did Way Down in the whole podcast on The Wire with Jamel Hill. Go check that out. So I know everything from The Wire.
Mhm.
It's not a fucking. You think you're the only nigga that thought that?
No.
Get off your own dick. All right.
Wait, does this make Rhaenys Slim Charles?
What?
Is Rhaenys the Slim Charles of this show?
Rhaenys?
Well, she kind of is.
She literally, when she's talking, she's like, when she's going, she's like, hey, just like you didn't really mean to kill.
Yeah.
They sound like it was that moment where I was just like, oh, Rhaenys is the smartest. She's the Otto equivalent.
We go back to any time. Like we go back to after Vito Corleone is killed. And you have Sonny. And Sonny looks at Tom Hagen and goes, you're not wartime conciliary. Like we're in a war. And the rules are different. The rules are different when you're at war. When you're at war, you want to fight a just war, but sometimes you're just fighting. And she can't seem to do that, while on the other side, the war isn't just, but all they want is the fight. So the question becomes to me, whose philosophy wins here? And it's a compelling question because no one has good leadership. Aegon is one of the worst kings and rulers I've ever seen.
I mean, when he lets Larys, it's so funny where it's like in the first season, we see how ineffective Viserys is. But it's so funny how like Viserys was like, I do not need a whisperer in here. I don't need y'all in my head. Yeah. And Aegon, it takes 5 seconds like, I think you should be on my council.
When that was clearly just a lie to play him to not go to war in the first place. He's like, oh yeah, you're my master.
But here's the thing.
You're so smart.
Aegon don't be vetting any of these motherfuckers.
No. Because
Sir Kristen Cole walks out and the new King's Guard are just like chilling there, just lax. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
In the small council meeting, in that scene, you see that Alicent has a little bit of her father in her.
Yeah.
Where she's attempting to make him take a pragmatic, more measured response to the things that are going on. And he can only think like a soldier. He can't properly advise the king because he doesn't have a 360 degree view of Westeros. So with all of this happening at the same time, what I really wonder, and then you have Daemon, who's off on his own side quest at Harrenhal, doing his own thing. There's no cohesion. There's nothing. There's a bunch. The show is a dysfunctional family reunion that a bunch of people are going to die for, and that's what you see in the first scene.
I really liked Daemon's side quest in this. I thought that was actually like really, really great.
I hate Daemon. That's not true. I do. I see the
What's
vision.
wrong? Daemon's the only motherfucker out here.
He came in way too hot at Harrenhal, though.
Comes in way too hot in Harrenhal, and then he's like, it's your grace. It's like, all right, bro. That's not. You know what I mean? Like we just had the conversation last week with Rhaenyra, right? Do you see me as your queen? You know. Then he goes to Harrenhal, and the guy's like, your prince, because that's what he's supposed to be called. And he's like, your grace. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, be for real, bro. You know?
I do like how my
You
how my
guys are
guy's
so
strong.
fake, bro. Put some
I mess with Daemon.
motherfucker, I got a dragon. Put some respect on my name.
But that's-
Call me
Bro,
my grace,
I've got a
That's not
bombed out
gonna
house
work.
from the last guy with a dragon, and I'm like, all right, whatever. Bow down, fealty,
is
yada
why y'all
yada,
can't be
whatever. Take
rulers.
it.
But that's not going
This
to
is why y'all
work.
can't
Okay,
be.
so if Rhaenyra finds out he's been going around telling people to call him your grace, is that going to slide? No.
She don't got any other choice.
I feel like she does. And she can be like, hey, man, you can't really be acting
All
like
right.
that.
First
You
of all,
can't-
let's be real, Rhaenyra. I gotta clear out on this. She treating all the black people in this castle like hell.
When
tough.
she,
It's a
when
racist show.
she,
No, hold
when
on.
she
No,
hugged
no,
all of her
no, no,
white
no.
kids
No,
in
it's-
front of
it's
her
a- it's
black
a racist show.
stepchildren.
She
It's
getting
like-
mad at her general.
I've never seen a show that treats the black people worse.
No other show.
It's like they like, hey, I need you to look after my kids. Get the fuck out of here. She made her into a mammy. Like,
Not wrong.
she did. The girl's looking at her like, you know,
I need you to be the mother I never could
I would
be.
really rather not watch after your kids. She's like, look at Jemima. Like, put this fucking scarf on. Get on your little biggie dragon, take these eggs and go fucking be a wet
She
nurse.
told her sister, hey, I'm gonna need you to get your ass up out this couch and go with the dragon.
And what happened when they were leaving, Steve? You were telling me earlier?
She hugged all of her white kids that were born by her and none of her black stepkids.
Tough.
and fucking Daemon, honestly, Daemon left those kids.
Daemon
like,
don't
he
even
didn't
like
care.
that. Yeah, Daemon don't even like
He
him.
was just like, peace. Like, bye-bye.
Didn't even say goodbye.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing. I will just say, like, yo, Rhaenyra, first of all, she's treating all black people like hell. Second of all, Daemon's the only motherfucker here that at least got some wartime heart. Like, I'm not saying he's smart,
Yeah.
but like, Daemon's about that action. And meanwhile, everybody in your council is like, hey, yo, I think it's time to make a move. And she wants to play dress up. It's looking bad.
You're not making any wrong points, but at the same time, Daemon has got to respect the chain of command. If any of this is going to work,
Yeah.
he's got to respect the chain of
Whoa,
command.
whoa, here's the
Clearly
thing.
He doesn't do that.
All right, so
Clearly
if we're going to be
doesn't.
real, part of this is on Rhaenyra, because if Rhaenyra is a strong, effective ruler, her council's not doubting her. Motherfuckers aren't da-da-da-da. Like, you gotta
Yeah, but they're also on some.
You're missing the part of that. Saji.
Yeah.
There's a big part of this show that is also asking the question, because we've had to ask this question in Westeros before. All right? The Starks, for all of the fact that we love the Starks,
Yeah.
there would always be a woman in one of the Starks' ears going, hey, this is what you should do. And they never
This is
did
true.
it.
Nope.
And every time they never did it, and they always got fucked up.
Yep.
All right. And
So
so
you are right, but here's the reason why.
Saji.
No, there is a lot of Saji action. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of it, Rhaenyra, I'm gonna be real. Rhaenyra be talking to the other women on this show crazy. She was
Kinda.
talking like Mysaria. I'm like, your homegirl just saved your life. And she was just looking at her, just like, you should kind of be thankful that I'm even thinking about putting you on my council. I'm like, yo,
Well, I mean, yeah. Because I would ask the same question. I'd be like, you just said you wanted to leave. Now you want to come back and be at court. Is it Uchi Wally on one mic? I would have been like, yeah. Because I would have asked that same question because like it's a big difference between wanting to leave and go back somewhere
Yeah.
and then wanting to come be a
motherfucker,
part
I
of.
saved your life.
So
Like,
what?
And it's like, we know that you live off of like playing other people.
Yeah. Not,
And you think I'm
like
just
what-
gonna
like
like
what you
let
want?
you in here?
not exactly
See?
the most trustworthy person.
Yeah, like what you want? Like what do you want?
She
Yeah.
openly admits that she like leads in double dealings. And you're like, all right, well, you did save my life, so I'm gonna think about it.
Yeah, but she made a good case. By the way, you said something earlier about the security and about people sneaking in and out. I just want to let you know they don't have ring cameras.
Yeah.
All right, there's no Simply Safe
No
here.
facial ID,
Simply-
no.
Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of
no
ways to
fingerprints.
get in and out of this place without being detected.
By the way, I
You know
loved
what
her
mean?
bodyguard. He was so cool. Just
Whoa,
like casing
no,
up the
let's-
joint, just like
let's go
looking
back.
around.
Yeah.
After the first, like, here's the thing. Both of them have had so much just security malfunctions.
Yeah.
After that happens once, I would assume it would get harder and harder to sneak into these places. And it's like, nah, I just got to dress up and we just going in and
Okay.
out.
They got her at church.
Well,
They
yeah,
got, yeah.
it's not the Red
To the
Keep.
church.
Yeah, so
So
I don't-
y'all saw that scene and you was just like, damn, that's exactly how it would go down.
I was thrilled. I was like
Whoa,
some
I'm not
Mission
talking-
Impossible shit.
The
This is
scene
great.
was dope. The mechanics of the scene are just, it's leaving me with a lot of questions. I'm just like, is everybody on this show besides fucking Otto and Rhaenys dumbasses?
I mean, yeah.
yeah. Yes.
I mean, they kind of are. But remember now, the only reason why they're dumbasses is because no one is operating out of intelligence or cunning or planning.
it's emotion.
They're operating from emotion. Remember, the best part of this conversation is like, hey, well, killed your son. Hey, well, killed the son. A, took the eye. You could argue that none of those things that happened were 100% intentional.
Right.
It's just none of those things that happened were like, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. And no one can stem the tide of unintended slights. And those slights keep getting more dire, keep getting more serious. It went from, I took your eye, which is a trauma you'll never forget, to I killed your son, to I cut the head off a baby. And now we're trying to stop it, the snowball from rolling downhill, and no one seems like they want to stand in front of it. And that's the question of the show. The question of the show is, will anyone stand in front of this and go, stop? And that's really what they're missing when the king died, was somebody who could unite everyone and make decisions that like made the kingdom work.
I mean,
you know?
I think to your point, the best thing that this show does is it makes this high drama, high fantasy so relatable, because the biggest thing that you notice in any family, like if you go to like an aunt or an uncle who's not talking to another aunt or uncle, and you ask them what happened, what's the start of the beef? And they're like, oh, well, it started like years ago. You go to the other party and it's something completely different. And you just go down story after story after story. And you're like, you guys are fighting over shit. Like all this stuff is so jumbled that I do think that House of the Dragon is doing a very, very good job of making this large scale war seem so, even in the first scene when the two boys are fighting, I'm like, oh, they're fighting over Team Black, Team Green, but they're really fighting over a centuries-long beef that both of their families have had, and they just need
that they don't even remember why.
No one remembers why, and I do think that was a genius thing to start the show with, is being like, oh, this isn't just a Targaryen problem, this is a Westeros problem.
Well, I think it's to highlight the entire point of the show, which is people are gonna beef. Why they're beefing, who knows? But people are gonna die and gonna look back and go, nah, that was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Right? What did the dude in Harrenhal say? Sin begets sin begets sin.
You know what's
Nobody
funny?
knows what started it, but it keeps happening.
It reminds me of something. So during the pandemic, I like started watching YouTubes about the gangs in LA.
As one does.
You ever watch
Deep dive.
these? The War in Cali.
No.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. You guys never watch that?
No,
You guys
Can't say
never
I
watch
have.
War in Cali or Welcome to Hood War Stories. Today we're gonna tell the story about Rolling 60 Crip. You never watched that?
I take this is the host that you're imitating.
That's
right
how
now?
he talks.
Okay.
And he's a great storyteller.
Okay. Cool.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. He's a great he's a great storyteller, right? And so they'll be telling these stories about these different sets. And normally it's different gangs that are like, they're different sets that are in the same gang. This is how the 8 trays in the 60s started beefing or whatever. And it always, you get a generation of beef. And I don't want to talk out of school. I respect everybody's politics, but you get a generation of beef based upon an incident that happened between two people.
Yeah.
Like these two people were at a party, the way Hood War Stories, the guy says it, is always funny because you can tell that he's making a little bit of commentary about how silly it is. He goes, it was two people got in a fight at a party, allegedly over a female. You know what I mean? So somebody gets beat up, then there's retribution, and then essentially you have 25, 30 years of two sets going back and forth. To them, it's not over that. to them, it's over the people that they've lost,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not because somebody was killed in 1989 or 1991 or 95 at a house party. It's because your brother was killed or because your cousin was killed or because somebody that you grew up with was killed. It's not about that, but that's what it started about. So the question about whether or not you're actually fighting over something or actually fighting over nothing becomes a compelling one. And like at the beginning of the show, when those two people were going back and forth, he said his sword is for killing the other guys.
Yeah.
So really, it's actually more impressive that there's a peace. So when that happens and you see the episode starts fantastically and you see the actual cost of this battle that's essentially over a ruling family's claim to the throne, you start to ask if any of it is worth it. Which side do you agree with?
Even in the small council meeting, it's so funny that like Aegon is like, hell yeah, he's like so jacked up. Like that war is starting finally. And they're just like, I don't really know if we can count this as a win. We lost so many
Lost
people.
a lot of people.
We lost, and it's like, it's so, like to your point, without Otto there, without a lot of these people there, it is also, there's like a generational story of you have people that have been by the sides of kings, know the politics, know the economy, and then you have this new class of rulers coming in where it's like, I think Rhaenyra and Aegon are more similar than we would like to believe in terms of like, they've never really had to
They don't know what
do
they're
anything.
doing.
They don't, like,
And they don't have strong hands. One of them has Daemon, who is a psychopath.
Yeah.
And the other one had Otto, who had been the hand of three kings, right? Who was actually trying to tell people how you manage a kingdom and win a war. He got out of there, put Christian Cole in there, who's essentially Daemon's counterpart, his 6-bit chance on the other side of that. So it's kind of, the whole thing is fucked up. You don't have good leadership and people are gonna die.